Do you know that your speaker is muted?
No,
Sorry.
hang on.
Thank you.
There you go, sir.
Thank you.
We muted at the start of the meeting. It did it once before. I gotta watch that now.
Okay, sorry about that.
Sorry. So I'll repeat quickly what I said, which was that I missed the meeting in December to talk about the planning commission budget. The planning commission does not need any additional funds for the upcoming fiscal year. We do, however, believe that that may be useful for the next one, because that's the year that we are by regulation required to revise the town plan. I'm working with Northwest Regional Planning Commission to find out a rough estimate of what that might cost. It could be that what we have in budget next fiscal year will cover that too, but I haven't had that conversation with them yet. They do know we want to do the revision. The other thing that I wanted to mention was that there was some question as to whether the Planning Commission could benefit from having an email account here at the town, like planningcommission@bakersfield.org. The answer is no. None of us have the time to chase down another email. And we're also a little concerned that if one of us did, and then somehow did something to it by accidentally deleting it, that we'd lose something. So we prefer to operate as we have, which is that the town clerk reaches out to usually me as chair to say that there's a question. And then also that we do like to conduct all of our planning commission business at our meetings, as opposed to in conversations with individual members of the planning commission. So we generally don't answer questions in private. We generally answer questions at our public meetings, and people are free to come and ask their questions, bring up ideas they have, thoughts that they've wondered about, and we'll entertain those. That's all I had, and I thank you and everyone else for giving me this couple of minutes to express that.
Thank you, Bill.
Should we go back, because it was not for Bill. Thank you, Bill. Should we go back to the minutes and accept them, or?
Well, no,
Posterity?
they've been documented as accepted. We can give a quick overview for the ones that were muted.
Message.
Linda,
I did
while we
have,
were
I
muted-
did have a comment to Tammy about the minutes and the comment about the park and the idea that it had passed to the cemetery commission. The select board member passed in that he died, and then it got transferred over to the cemetery commission. And it's kind of confusing for new people coming in town. We have a town park, we have a town common, and then we have a cemetery. We have a cemetery commission that's in charge of the town common. And we have members on the cemetery commission that say, we're a cemetery commission, not a park commission. So somewhere down the line, that all needs to get clarified for future generations, because us old folks are gonna pass too.
maybe at that time, everything will mesh together and it'll be one group. I don't know if it will or not. Yeah. We're open to suggestions for sure. Do you know the inner workings of that? Who's in charge of which piece of property?
The town park is overseen by the Bakersfield Conservation Commission.
Which is
The town green, which is the one with the bell tower and the flowers that are beautifully maintained last year, is being overseen by the cemetery commission. And what year was that, Linda, that changed?
I believe according to Elsie's book, that was 1963. That it went.
Okay, so it's been 60 years that it's been in control of by the cemetery commission.
Yes,
We should be used to it by now.
We should be
some
used
of
to it.
us.
But then there was questions about when we run out of space in the cemetery, we can, start using the property up at the front, and that's not true. That's not part of the cemetery.
That is correct. They were separate, but and controlled by the select board prior to 1963. 1963, the person that was overseeing the common passed on to greener pastures. And it was voted by the existing select board at the time that the cemetery commission could take care of the town common. But it is still separate from the town cemetery.
That's true.
Is that correct, Linda?
That's
Thank you.
correct.
Does that make
And
it,
that's according to the
does
deed,
that make it?
clear as mud.
We were just making sure it was clear for Tammy.
Okay,
That's okay.
Thank you for that, Linda.
you're welcome. I'll give Tammy a copy of the deed.
All right. Now, is Sue still on here?
Sue is, or
Okay.
Sharon is.
All right, we will give them the floor to discuss listers and reappraisal. Sue, yes.
Call in, make sure she's there.
Here she comes.
Well, this is me and I see Mark D, so I'm assuming that's Sue. There she goes.
Yeah.
Sue, would you unmute yourself, please?
Now can you hear me?
Here she comes.
There you are.
Okay. I've given the select board 2 different pieces of paper. One of which is articles for the Bakersfield annual town meeting for March 7th this year. And I talked to our district advisor, Deanna Ravatoy, about getting the fund established for the reappraisal. If it costs it's going to cost at least $100 per parcel, which is like $73,000, and it might cost more to do the reappraisal. We now are below the 85% of the common level of appraisal. So the state is going to order us to do a reappraisal. We don't really have a choice unless we want to give up all of our education money. So there are 3 different ones here. First one is to establish questions. Okay. First one is,
Sue,
yeah,
for clarification, this was triggered by the common level of appraisal, correct?
correct,
Our common level of appraisal has fallen too low.
correct.
So now,
It's now 81.
and that's what triggered this, and that's why we are mandated by the state of Vermont to do a reappraisal. We don't, as you said, we do not have a choice in the matter.
That is true.
We will be.
Yeah. So the first article is to establish the reserve fund for the reappraisal. The second is to authorize surplus funds to be transferred to the grand list fund to the reappraisal fund. I know there's a certain amount of money in there, but I don't know exactly how much it is. Last time I looked, there's about 15,000, but you've been paying us, the listers, out of the grand list fund. We get a certain amount every year from the state, but that does not cover the listers' fees that the hours that we work. And the third one is to whatever you want to appropriate the first year. We put in $10,000. That's just a suggestion. So we're hoping that these will go on the warning. So that's the first thing. The second thing is the copy of the 2022 equalization study results. And as you can see, the common level of appraisal is now 81.58%. And if we're below 85, that's what triggers the reappraisal. Any questions?
So you're saying that you want us to vote to give you what is in the surplus funds,
The surplus,
plus you need the 10,000?
well, that's just a starting point so that we would vote this every year like you do for the fire, I don't know, it's not the fire department, but for repaving, equipment fund, etc. It's just another fund that we could start accumulating the money in. Because we
Yeah,
may
and
not be able to do this for 2 or 3 years because the people that do this are backed up.
Yeah, and I want to say this is not the listers doing this. This is the listers telling
No.
the town that this needs to happen. So the fund would be set
Right,
up, not
right.
for us to use, but for the town to use.
Yes.
Right.
Now-
What in the end, what would at the end of this year, if it gets voted on, how much money would you have in that reappraisal fund?
Approximately, well, if you add $10,000, I don't know exactly because I don't know how much is in the fund right now. But at the end of this year, there's maybe about $15,000 in the grand list fund. But next year, if we voted to establish the reserve fund for the appraisal, we transfer the amount and we voted on 10,000, then it'd be about maybe $25,000. But you might have to budget in money to pay the listers as well into your budget.
Yep, no, that makes sense. Yeah, instead of asking for a lump sum once every 5 to 7 years, or when our appraisal level gets that low, that makes sense. Yes. The
You-
number that you said you needed to complete the appraisal, you were a little muffled. Did you say 70,000? Is that the target number?
No,
70 plus.
She said
There is
$100 in appraisal.
yeah, there is no real target number because we don't know what it's going to cost yet. The different people that do this
Right,
have
you-
different prices. But if it were $100 per parcel, it would be 70.
How many parcels are there?
About 730.
Okay.
Perfect. That's the question. That's the answer I was looking for right there. Thank you.
And that's just if it costs $100 per parcel.
Yep.
I'm not sure how much.
That's just a rough estimate.
Very rough.
When was the last time we had a reappraisal?
2009.
2009.
It was a couple, 6 months ago, probably, maybe a little longer than that. We had a lady from the state come in.
Yes, Yes, that was Deanna
to
Robitaille.
discuss this with us.
yes.
Okay. Is there any chance, you could either reach out to her to see if she would be willing to come to another meeting,
Oh, yes.
or
yes,
get
she-
us the contact?
She's very willing to come and I can arrange that maybe for the next meeting.
The next meeting being the 23rd. That's the next regularly scheduled meeting.
But I don't know when. don't
Yeah, I
know
wouldn't see
when-
any reason.
Yeah, but when do the things have to be in to print the book for town meeting?
I think this, what you've given us here, the articles for the town. Personal opinion, I think this makes complete sense. I think your numbers are accurate and thought out. I don't see any reason why we couldn't vote to do this as the select board, put these articles on the town for the meeting. When she comes in, it would be just to clarify pricing and give us a timeline, I believe.
Okay, I will contact
She-
her. Did you hear
And
that?
can
I
you give me her
apologize.
name again?
Deanna Robitaille.
Okay.
Is that-
Is she gonna have the cost of it though?
I think that's what she had before. She was just
No,
asking if we could
exactly.
track.
She may not know
Okay.
exactly,
No.
Okay.
but she can tell us what to
Yeah,
But
expect.
she would be,
depends
Yeah,
right, she would
Right.
be the one that would have done one of these most recently and have a pretty good idea ballpark as to what we'd be looking at
Yes,
and be able to get the ball rolling on this.
Well, I
Yes.
think
Okay.
the next step for us as the listers, I believe, is to get you possible candidates to do the appraisal, right? So.
yes. We
So we're
need
gonna get
to
the
write
list.
letters to them.
I think we'll pare it down a little bit. Is it a pretty long list, Sue?
What list are you talking
The
about?
one
We
of
need,
It would
appraisal,
have to go out to bid, right?
we need 3.
okay.
It needs to go out to bid and we need 3, at least
Okay.
3.
3 or
Yeah.
5.
Yeah,
3.
So we will get you names and we're not gonna pick the 3, I guess. I don't think. What do you, is it, Sue, am I wrong about that?
Well-
My personal opinion would be to send it out to as many as we can.
Right.
Not everyone's going to answer.
Right, not
Or wanna
everybody's
do
gonna
it.
answer, and the more people we get quotes from, the more options we have, really.
Yeah.
So if
Oh.
we can just make a generic letter and send it out to as many as we can possibly send it out to.
yeah, I have the list, I have the list of all the state approved companies that do this.
Excellent. Are there any others from the listers?
No? That takes care of it. Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you for the work you do, and we look forward to hearing from you at the next meeting.
Okay, bye.
All right. Move it along. Library.
Good evening. So I am here actually really just to introduce Hadley Prevey, our new librarian, who is the director of the library, who's just handed out to you the budget for next year. I'm going to let her speak to it. I would just say that it is an increase on last year, partly for salaries, which we were forced to do. And there's also things like heating oil that have gone up. And that sort of thing, but I'll let Hadley speak to it first.
Hi, I'm Hadley. And so the budget has gone up. Most of it is in the salaries. With minimum wage going up, we do have someone working at minimum wage that's going to have an increase. And my salary is a bit more than what the previous director was paid. I have lowered the amount for both juvenile and adult books. But there have been significant increases in heating fuel and electricity, and the numbers that you see here are based off of what we went over over budget a little bit this past year for electricity and heating fuel due to the increases. We also had an increase for our accounting. Maria here charged us a bit more than we had budgeted last year, so that was a big increase. And we also have added website and computer maintenance to our budget because currently we don't have antivirus on any of our computers. So we will need to purchase that to keep everyone safe. And our website could be more dynamic.
Question for clarification. This is actually for the 2024 budget.
Yes, this is what will go. will
It's
be voted
listed,
on to-
it's listed here as the 2023
2023.
budget.
Yes, I apologize.
Sorry about that, yeah. The other increase that you'll see there, and it's a significant one, is for the floor and the door. And I know we've talked about that a little bit over the last few months.
Excuse me.
We were hoping to get ARPA funds. I'm not sure where things are with ARPA and what's happening there. And I think last time I talked to you about the fact that we don't have mold, but we do have a breeding ground for it. We said that it would be best to go out to the voters for money rather than relying on ARPA. And so that's why that's in there. We have not got quotes yet. We've got as close as we can get without getting a formal quote. And the reason for that is because we just haven't had a timeline.
What did the insurance give you for?
There's
funding?
no insurance. It's not, we're not covered with insurance.
Insurance is covered by the VLCT. It's a municipal building.
And we don't have mold. So that's why there's.
No, but I thought it was water damage is why you had to do the
No,
floor.
It's
No?
it's retaining water because of the high level of humidity. It's just damp. It's a carpet and it's damp and there's no real
So
mitigating
is
that.
this just for your salary? The 33?
No,
No, it is for mine and Mary's and a substitute for any time that we would be sick or unable to be open.
And how many hours is it open?
is it 26?
I think it's 20, yes.
We're at 26 at the moment. That may increase a little bit. We'll see. It depends on, we Hadley did a survey just to see what people are looking for and what they would like from the library, and we haven't had that discussion yet. But we've been at about 26, 28 for the past however many years, for a long time.
Does the floors and doors fall under the heading of equipment, maintain and
Yes.
replace, the
That's
17,000?
17, yeah.
That's just for the floors and the door?
15 of that is the floors and doors. The other 2 is
That was with the regular number.
what we always, what we have traditionally asked for.
Okay.
So you need to replace the floors and doors, but you haven't yet because you're waiting to see if you get this money.
We were hoping originally to get ARPA funds. We have not been able to find any other grants. We've been looking, but there really hasn't been anything available. So I think it was Lance's suggestion that we put it in the budget for next year or for 2024.
But so it hasn't been fixed.
No, we
Okay.
can't fix it until we get,
Get the quotes before you fix
yes,
clarification. Good.
yes, sorry.
No, that's good. It's a good thing.
Remember, you're a municipal entity, so you have to
Three-
follow
three.
town policy 3. Thank you.
Thank you. We will do that.
Budgeted for last year.
I think we're like 30, it's like maybe 35 for library last year.
35.
So without the floors and the doors, right, let's take that out. Let's just pretend that money came from somewhere else just for a moment, so we can figure out what exactly the difference is between 2023 and 2024.
Okay.
What I'm seeing, and my math may not be 100%, but I think it is. I took my shoe off to count. So what I'm looking at, you remove those, it's about $55,000 you need for the library in 2024. Money allotted to the library in 2023 was 35,000. So you're asking for an increase of $20,000. Is that right? Without the floors and door, knowing that's a separate item.
Yes,
Does that include rolling over the 20,000 that you have as of January 1st?
that does not. Still learning, didn't know about that 20,000.
Yeah, so
Your balance left over from 2022 in January 1 of 2023 is with checking and savings is $19,183. In order to be able to use that, you have to put it before the town to vote on it. If you look at it,
Which is what you do every.
Which is what we
you do that every year. It says number 16, shall the town authorize surplus funds in the amount of, in this case, 19,183 from the public library for 2022 to go into the 2023 budget is what it'll read.
Yeah.
That is considerably more than what you usually have left over.
It is, and I don't know why.
I don't know either. I know that I'm coming in at the end of the year. I didn't really spend much money. Because it was, I didn't
Yeah.
want to spend too much.
We have a comment from the peanut gallery. Mr. Don?
Just for clarification, won't it be voted into the 24 budget instead of the 23 budget?
Yes.
Yes, you are right, Tenny. Sorry. No, you are correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's only the library, we gotta remember that whole switch of years.
It was always the same.
Bends my brain every year.
Yeah. This is why it says 23, not 24.
So the 2023 budget has already been voted in at 35,000.
correct.
So the 35 plus the 19 is what they're looking at right now,
Yes,
which would be a $55,000 operating budget for this year.
correct. No, because they'd asked for that 19,000 to be added on to the 24 budget.
To be
Let me
added
see.
on, not taken off it.
Yep, yep.
I don't know what was voted in.
Actually, last year they asked it to be transferred to the improvement fund, which would have been available to use in 2022. So for last year.
So do we know what was it?
So it depends on where they ask it to be transferred to.
Right.
They could ask it to be transferred to 2024, 2023, the improvement fund, the floors, that would pay for your floors.
The improvement fund, I would suppose it's the bill.
So I think.
I would assume that by putting it in the improvement fund, you would be able to use it for the floors and doors.
Mhm.
It's
So-
improving the building.
It is. One of the other issues we've got to look at is our aging furnace. So I think that was sort of the
Mhm.
goal of that fund was to get that up to a place where we would be able to.
How much is in that fund? I don't.
It's not listed in this year's budget.
No, it's not. I don't know how much we have.
Another
in there.
question
I
for you.
don't know.
So
Sorry.
I think a lot of our questions revolve around ARPA funds. So where is the select board in those funds? What is the status and how are they being used? There's a lot of rumors going around. A lot.
Hasn't been brought
You know
to
how
us at
rumors
all.
go.
They're in the minutes for other town organizations, so maybe you guys could just dispel the rumors, and then we know if that $19,000 will come from ARPA funds.
No.
Or if we have to use surplus, or,
The $19,000 we're talking about is not ARPA funds. That's actually in their checking account right now.
No,
Checking and saving.
the money that we're looking for.
It's 15 that we're, yeah.
15,000. And how the ARPA kind of keeps being tossed out.
Right.
But there hasn't really been any follow-up with that.
Thanks,
We've seen
Mr.
nothing
Chairman.
on it.
Can I
Absolutely.
talk a little bit about that? All right, with all,
But like that's why I'm asking.
Yep.
And that's why I think there's a lot of talk around town about what is being done with that money. And the talk of town right now is it's all going to the town garage. And it has a lot of different people very upset. And so I would appreciate it if there would be a straight answer about what's going on with those funds. And whether or not any other group in the community is going to have access to those funds or not.
did you want to address the going to the garage part?
Yeah, well, technically, none of the money has been dispersed at all yet. We,
So a used grader hasn't been purchased,
yes,
or a new used grader
A-
hasn't been purchased.
a new used grader has been purchased, not with ARPA funds. We have a new equipment line, which you vote money into every year. That and the surplus in the road budget is where that money came from.
So then the HARPA funds are, how are they being used?
It's sitting right now in the Community National Bank. And there's $390,910.74 that's parked in there until the town folk decide what they want to do with it.
So it's not going towards a new tractor with the arm and everything else. And the town fire, or the, sorry, not town, the fire department, like money going towards car one and everything and being told, no, can't go towards car one because it's going to a new tractor with an arm.
No, what's going on is everybody who wants ARPA funds has the ability to come up with a proposal, written proposal, turned in to Brenda, who's in charge of the ARPA funds. And then what will happen is we will sit down, have a meeting and figure out how is the best way to disperse those funds.
So when is that next meeting? Because every time I watch here, it's, oh, there'll be a meeting next month. There'll be a meeting next month.
Thank you. I've had a lot of personal illnesses in my family. I've spent a lot of time down in Syracuse, New York area. Over the last month, I've been down there for 3 weeks. From a scheduling standpoint, I want to make sure that I have the clarity and the time to make sure that we do this properly, that we invite enough people in, that we warn it so that a lot of people can attend those meetings. And there should be several of them. We don't have to use these funds until 2026. They can sit there. We'd have to give it back if we don't use it. Anything we don't use, we have to give back, but it hasn't been allocated, dispersed, or even, there are several proposals that are in right now, all of which will be considered. And did you, Nikki, did you put one in? Yeah, there's one in from the library.
Right.
So we haven't done anything with it, and that's on me. I'll take that right on my shoulders. It has not been a good year for me last year. This year should prove to be much better and much more productive.
I don't think as a select board, we are rushing to spend these monies either. There are many ways that this money can be spent, and the government has changed their mind how many different times on how,
Lord, yeah.
Three or four times.
how it can be spent.
Yeah.
So if we had said, right off first time they cut the line and said, this is how you can spend it, we could have spent it right then and there, and 2 months, 3 months later, turned around and got slapped and had to pay fees because they hadn't finalized.
It's called the clawback. Technically, if it's spent and it's through audit by the IRS, they say, no, that wasn't an appropriate use, then they could ask us for it back with interest.
And keep in mind, the original set of rules, when it covered yours, when it cover yours, it was very specific, right? So as we're waiting for the final ruling to get a final interpretation, because they did a several 100-page ruling, which is out there, you can read it, but it doesn't really matter if you read it because it's how they interpret it. We're waiting, we received the final interpretation, so we're trying to figure out what is in the umbrella. I mean, at one point you could spend it on anything, and another point right after that, they were like, well, hang on a minute, so we're stuck. We're just trying to make sure we don't commit to something and then have problems down the line that the town's gonna have to pay for. So we're trying to make an informed decision.
The town not being impulsive. I think it has just led to a lot of chatter around town.
Right.
And it's very disturbing.
I can tell you the best thing to do is exactly what you're doing. Come here, ask us, get the clarification. Don't go on Facebook. Don't go to the freaking store down here and listen to every.
To date,
Well,
to date,
they're not here.
none.
This is,
Yeah.
I mean, anybody can say anything they want about how they think we're gonna spend it. But quite honestly, other than the equipment that's right here recording this meeting, no ARPA monies have been spent.
None of it has been allocated anywhere.
I'm relieved to hear that. And it's just really hard for the library or whoever to plan budgets if it's looming over and you may have it, you may not have it. I get the whole state stuff. I'm a teacher, so trust me, I get that nightmare. I just think maybe more information coming from the select board would help to dispel rumors and like ill will. That's
So
that,
in that, is that one of the proposals? Some equipment, some upgrade, some of the older equipment that we have, or buy equipment that would get jobs done that townspeople are complaining about? Yes, that is one of the proposals.
Absolutely.
Is a truck for the fire department, you said, truck one? Is that that's,
first responder.
okay, so the like Explorer, I think it is that has not been submitted in paper. I have heard people talking about it. I mean, if I'm the one that goes down in the woods and that's the truck that shows up, I'm gonna be damn glad it's there, but
Yep.
I don't know. There's still a lot up in the air. It might not even be the same 5 people that make the decision when it comes time to make the decision. So to say we have decisions or ideas, yes, we have ideas. Do we have decisions? Absolutely not.
Time to change that is coming up in March. If you disagree with us strongly, I suggest you get a petition up and get somebody up there to replace us.
You had the end of the month.
So I have a question about the
Yes, you can
timelines
run
here.
for select board.
That's
not one. All right.
Would it be your advice that we plan on asking for that? Let me rephrase that. Would it be your advice that we don't assume the ARPA funds will be available that soon?
Right.
This is an emergent issue for us
Yes.
because the floor is gross.
Yes.
So,
I-
okay.
Yes.
Our suggestion as a board would be to budget as if the ARPA money does not exist.
The second question I
the-
have, I don't think we were aware or had realized we had that much carryover.
Mhm. That was
For a
going to be my
variety of reasons,
suggestion, my
because-
comment is when you put this up to vote to your fellow townspeople, you're going to have to answer to them why you have
Yep.
almost $20,000 left over and you're increasing your budget by
$20,000.
Yeah.
a lot. Your $37,000 increase in your budget. You asked for, no, well, that's not your budget. I can't remember what your budget numbers were last year. To meet your budget last year, you asked for $35,000. For 2024, you're asking for $72,000.
So-
And you have a $19,000 balance in your accounts.
So I think, and I guess there's a third question. How long do we have to get our budget finalized to meet the town's?
Everything has to be in. We're asking for finalization the 23rd, correct?
Okay.
We told.
Right.
I think
It's our last meeting.
Before the 23rd, because the 23rd is our
So
next.
we
scheduled-
have a meeting in like 3 minutes, so
Yes.
we will,
Yes, we want.
Yes,
everything
it
here
is the 23rd.
okay,
Yes.
Our next meeting.
Our next meeting, but
Okay.
we're gonna have everything finalized and
Right.
submitted for that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
that's helpful.
That's the deadline we have to meet. So Kathy can correlate everything and get it in the morning.
And print that, thing out.
Per deadline, yeah.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay, do you have any other questions of us?
No.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sorry, we're sending you home with more questions than answers.
I do have one quick,
We are having a meeting. We're talking about, salaries on the 16th, which is next Monday.
okay,
So if you have something by next Monday that you want to bring in, and even if it's just like, questions or whatever, you can bring it in. We could probably take a couple minutes out of that meeting.
okay,
to talk with you.
that would be helpful.
Because it is a budgetary meeting, but
Okay.
focused on salaries.
Salaries. Okay, and then I have another separate sort of issue. Servpro sent a bill for the looking at our floor and deciding that we didn't have mold. You had, I think, requested that you see some sort of report from them. I've had a very testy conversation with the lady at Servpro because they don't do that. So would it be acceptable to you if I did a write-up of when he came, what he said? And
Do you have the bill from Servpro copy?
yes,
from the bill?
we submitted that came in, I don't know, right before Christmas, I think, because I gave it to,
No, we
Copy.
don't. Yeah, we don't usually see the bill from the library.
So if it's itemized, if you could, yeah, write up like what he said, what he,
Okay.
you know, and then final
Suggestions.
determination was not molds,
Okay,
humid climate and crappy
Perfect.
carpet, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever he said,
okay.
and then just attach the,
I think Maria still has the bill.
she's definitely got to hear
does.
somewhere.
Yeah,
It's just-
okay. Okay, I can do that. Is it Serve Pro?
Serve Pro,
Serve Pro, SERVPRO.
and they wouldn't
They're the,
issue you a
So
report.
they usually deal with residential customers, I think, or not municipal. And for that price, they come and say, yes, you have an issue, or no, you don't. And then if they mitigate it, they take them, they fold that in somehow, and then they do the,
right, they're not gonna do any.
they
extra
weren't
work.
going to do any
They're not
extra
gonna
work
do
for
any
us.
extra work when they don't find a problem.
Yeah.
Once they find a problem, they'll keep
Bing,
sending
bing,
you
bing.
all sorts of paperwork. That's the law.
I mean, we have an invoice that says we came and
Inspected.
inspected.
We should have
Just write
held
up
that
a
invoice.
description. That's,
We probably should have held that invoice. I bet you got.
We
your-
haven't paid it.
Right, but if there's
Yeah.
nothing to report.
I would assume
There's
you would
nothing
get a
to report.
report.
No one's
but I
going,
hear
there's
you.
nothing there.
But they still could have put that in a.
So this is the conversation I was trying to have with her. It was not going well.
Yeah.
I feel like they're not the most, I mean, it's now January and we've been trying to pay this bill since September and I've been prodding them to even send the invoice. So I think there are some business things going on.
Okay,
Anyway, I'll do that and get.
Thank
back
you.
to
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
have a good evening. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Up next, we got Mark.
Terribly disappointed to let you know this isn't the money.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
Turn on, no, turn it on, it's not on. There you go. Oh, nope, it's off again. Hit it once. There you go.
Yeah. I'm representing the Northwest Solid Waste District and we are going to try to expand the building that's down in Georgia because it was built back in 2012. And since then, everything has gotten much bigger and everything. And so we're going to float a bond, get a bond and use that money for expanding the buildings. And for reasons that I haven't yet quite figured out, I think it was when the Northwest Solid Waste District was established through various charters, the voters of Franklin County with the various districts are allowed to vote on whether this can be allowed. It has nothing to do with any money. We're going to get the bond and grants and stuff like that. So all we need is the permission of the voters. And so in the near future, next week or so, Kathy should get a voter request and also some backup information. And this is just a heads up that it's coming. The numbers are big. It's going to be 1.5 million to expand the building, but it's all going to be grants and bonds. So it's not going to raise the town's budget at all. It's just a heads up to let you know that when this comes in, you have an idea that it says it right there in all the paperwork.
So while you're here, just give us a brief description of what this is going to do for the town of Bakersfield.
What it does is it expands the building down or the capacity of the building down in Georgia where all the recyclables that are done go to. And one of the things that the town of Bakersfield saw, and it was in the past, is the expansion where the row-offs were lined up and it had decks and stuff like that. And that's part of the budget. And so the operating costs go into various improvements. There is also, they're constantly trying to find new markets for the plastic. Doesn't necessarily generate a lot of money, but it's keeping it out of the landfills.
Right.
And so it's sort of the expansion of the whole recycling process. And sometimes you get a rebuilt drop-off site like in Bakersfield.
Mhm.
And sometimes it's more capacity down in Georgia. It's like getting tires. So we have a tire drive every year.
And so this tire drive is, they've got to come and pick them up. So that's one thing that it's the opportunities for the town of Bakersfield and the other towns in Franklin County. They all are part of it. And so it's something that's ongoing.
With the expansion of the facility, will you be accepting more types of recyclable material? Like I know I use the one over here and
Yep.
it's a great facility. I love it. It's a heck of a lot better than what I used to do. So anyhow, there's a lot of types that they go, we can't take that plastic or this plastic, which blows my mind. I see the little triangle, it should be able to be recycled in my mind, but I
Yeah.
understand the different types, but will it also give them the capability of accepting different forms? more?
What they might end up being able to do is separate them better
Okay,
so that we can take more. We're taking like sap lines and also agricultural plastic, and we're sending them up. I think there's one company, and this is one of the problems. There's a company down in Texas, and we don't truck it, but it gets trucked down there for, it's being used, maybe not necessarily turned into other plastics.
right.
Though every 6 months, I hear something about they've developed a process for plastic recycling. But to what it's doing here, most of the plastic does get taken. And also the recyclables, the cans and bottles, and it keeps a lot of them off the road. And that's what the object was back in 2000, probably 10, and it's been developing ever since then.
Yeah, well, I'm appreciative also you take the garbage. I don't know if everybody knows what they take. I mean, obviously they take your trash, they take
Yep.
some electronics, they take your recycling, costs you zero for recycling, which is great.
Yep.
And then they also take your food waste because I don't want to compost.
Yep.
I drive it over and someone supplies sawdust. I don't know where all the sawdust comes from that you kind of layer in.
Well, that's compost too, and then they
yeah.
mix it in.
Yeah, it's a nice little setup on Saturdays. And I mean, they're open to one. If you don't come,
Yep.
and it's reasonable. Just put that out there.
But that's the evolution. We've just constantly improve what we can take and what we can recycle and what we can do it. Like the trash, and it's my one pet peeve, it all goes up to the landfill in Coventry.
Right.
And I was reading an article just recently that they say that, well, it lasts maybe another 20 years. Maybe.
Right.
But when that fills up, there isn't any place in Vermont to take it.
Oh, Lord.
And so the dumpsters that people are using, and for us, is going to have to find another home. And so that's going to be, the $5 bag of trash is not going to be $5, and the dumpsters that people are using, which are all trash and bottles and recyclables and everything
All
like
mixed.
that,
Yeah.
is going to be a lot more expensive too.
Wow.
So it's the recycling and the garbage that we generate. And there's also talk of trying to get money from the manufacturers to cover the cost of reclaiming the bottles and jars and cans that they generate to sell their stuff.
Right.
And that would sort of encourage them. And this is the whole thing with recycling is, you got to talk to the lawmakers down in Montpelier and also in Washington to make them realize that it's something that needs to be looked
Right.
at.
Right.
So this is just a heads up to let you know this is coming. And so when you see it,
Thank you.
sure.
Yes, thank you.
Sorry, I can't ask for more money.
John, what is that bottom comment?
What's that bottom comment?
Oh, when is, Mark,
Yeah.
when is
what
this tire drive?
drive? When's tire drive happening?
It's in the spring.
Okay,
Um,
not sure if you can hear it. Usually in the spring around Green Up Day.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions we had
Oh,
online,
okay.
so.
Yeah, it's, and it's not just then but that's when they go down. They'll only. During the tire drive, they only take car tires.
Oh, I didn't know
They don't
that.
take like equipment, like the tires from the road grader or something like that, or tractor tires. So it's limited to small tires. I know that they're trying to figure out if there's one way of getting bigger tires, but And there's also talk of other, it's plastic and stuff like that they're trying to find a home for.
Nope,
Thank you.
That answers the question. Thanks a lot.
Sure.
Can I ask something of the, not you, thank you, sir. Can I ask something of the folks viewing the meeting? I see there's someone with the name iPhone. We actually have to record your name. And D, can you guys like tell us what your name is so that we can get it in the minutes?
Even if you just want to type it in the
You can-
comments.
Yeah,
it'd
you
be
can
great.
just type it in the comments,
So
please.
have more visitors spectating, or would you like to come up and speak?
I was at the library, I was just checking.
Okay. Come on up. You can just state your name so we know.
Okay, do I have to press any buttons?
It's still on. You're good.
Hello, my name's Rachel Santos. My husband and I just bought a home just shy of a year ago, right here on 108 in the village. We have two small kids, ages 2 and almost 4. We bought the house thinking it was in a 30-mile-an-hour speed zone. We are technically in a 30-mile-an-hour speed zone, but not in reality. People go much, much faster through town. I think that you all are smiling because you know exactly how bad the situation is.
You're
That'd be-
smiling because last was it 2 years ago? Maybe Linda can let us know the last time. We actually had the state come in. They did a evaluation of the town speed limits through it and everything, with a lot of help from Linda, and they got the speed dropped from 35 to 30.
2 years ago.
Yeah, it was a couple. I don't know if 2 is exact. Linda, if you're there, do you know
It
exactly
was
when that
about
was? I
two,
can't
2,
remember.
3 years ago. I believe it was before COVID.
That's what I thought.
And we did well to get it down to 30. We wanted it lower. And we also wanted Route 36 lower. And what they do is they put up signs to evaluate what the speed is, and they feel that's what people are comfortable with driving at. Therefore, that's what they want to keep it at, which doesn't make sense for those people living on Main Street.
No.
Little kids crossing the road to go to school.
Yeah.
which I had.
And no
There are lots and
sidewalk.
lots of children that walk up and down. Yeah, no sidewalk. The sidewalk that we have in town is fantastic. We would love it if it would extend. I know that's probably a huge undertaking, but it extend even as far as our house would be amazing.
It was supposed to when that first got put to us.
On the original plans for the original sidewalk, it was supposed to go that far, yes.
My husband recently, just a few months ago at this, maybe 2 months ago at this point, was actually involved in a hit and run in front of our house.
Wow.
Thankfully, it was just a fender bender. They lost their side view window, and we just got a scrape. He looked both ways. It was in the early morning, no cars coming. He pulled out and there was a car right on him. Thankfully, they swerved. But it would have been a disaster. It would have been a much, much worse situation. So we were really lucky, but it was, I contacted the state police and I've spoken with them twice, and they said, always go back to your select board.
Right.
We're all locals here. Even I'm a recent transplant. Kids are on the street constantly, people walking their dogs, elderly, young babies. And I just feel like something needs to happen. We would never have purchased a house in a 50-mile-an-hour speed limit zone, but that's easily what this is. People go
More, yeah.
more, absolutely more. And I'm open to absolutely all options to get people to drive slower. I think a Medugnos I read on Facebook mentioned speed bumps. At the very least around the school would be fantastic. Or
Highway, we can't do that.
Okay.
So just to give you an idea, I've been here, this is what my 5th year on the board, 4th or 5th year on the board. I have tried getting law enforcement.
Mhm.
We have tried to lower the speed limits. We've gone to the state, we've gone to the state police, we've gone to the sheriff's department. I had multiple contracts written up with the state police and the sheriff's department, brought them before the voters of the town, and unanimously voted down.
Yes. It was
Okay.
Ah.
Majority.
It was, but the vast majority voted against it.
And
this-
against what exactly? Like,
And
what-
if you go back
Patrol.
a
further,
okay.
Patrol.
you can go back further. It was presented to the town on at least 2 other occasions and also turned down.
Put it down because it didn't sound like financially good, because it was paying for the state police to come to an area that they're already supposed to
Patrol.
and it was very limited hours
Was.
that the state police.
But we get even less hours without a contract.
So. Yep.
It was
Um,
less with the
con-
sheriff's department as well.
Contract through the state police was actually a better contract than we were gonna get from the Franklin County Sheriff's Department, which is
Yes.
very sad.
The only other.
Sheriff's
yeah.
Department, you hardly got any coverage. And you wouldn't get, if they picked them up on Main Street, we'd get no kickback. They had to be on a town road, which would be like out in East Bakersfield,
Yeah, we weren't
Egypt.
gonna get any kickback from the state police either, but
No,
No,
but
with
I
the- we were
agree with
paying
you.
Yeah.
More.
The state police and the sheriff's department should be coming here
Right.
on a regular basis.
Patrol.
And they insist that we pay what amounts to protection money for them to serve our area.
it's.
Our other challenge is we don't have a constable. So if you had a constable,
No, that would have to be a trained
You have
constable.
to get.
right.
You'd
you'd
have to
get
send
them
them,
trained.
they'd
You'd have
have
to
to
get them
go to the
trained.
police academy in
Right.
Pittsburgh.
and
They'd
then-
have to,
but
they'd have to be trained and then you'd have a constable up here. We don't have anyone who wants to.
We
run for
tried
constable.
going that route too. We tried asking the town if we could send someone to Pittsburgh to be trained, and that was turned down as well.
No, in. The reason for that being turned down is it's an elected position
Yes,
and.
there were good
the
reasons.
Cost to send you to the police academy is more than it was to have the state police come and patrol
Okay.
for whatever hours they
Thank you.
were. Yeah, it was, I agree with you. It was not a great contract with the state police. Couple of the fine details that I didn't get when they first came in is that their time starts when they get in their car.
Mhm.
So if that officer lives in Georgia and we're paying him to patrol 3 hours, he drives up from Georgia, that 45 minutes is part of that 3 hours.
Yeah.
We pay for him to drive from Georgia. If he pulls somebody over on the way up here, we're paying for him to be doing that. Yeah,
What are the
Can I
options?
add
Are there
something
any
And
options?
that's the new struggle. Yes, go ahead.
Can I add something about speed bumps? When we had the problem on 36.
Go ahead,
with-
Linda.
When people had problems on 36 with them coming flying up into the intersection, the suggestion to the VTran was to put speed bumps there. And they said, no, that doesn't work. That they had a situation over in Cambridge. When you're going out of Cambridge Village by the Boyden Farm, they had put speed bumps there.
Uh-huh.
And the complaint of the Boydens were that the vibration caused by that speed bump was disruptive to the happiness of their livelihood. You know, it would wake them up in the
Right,
night, they would vibrate things off the walls, you know, that
They had
it might serve
the speed bumps that she's referring to.
yes.
The
little bumps
rumble
to
The
strips.
rumble
Yeah.
strips on the
To
yellow
slow
line,
people
but they
down.
Have those on the.
Yes, that
Yeah.
Well, let's,
makes
the
too
rumble,
much noise.
yeah,
in
the rumble
homes.
strips are in case you're falling asleep until you're crossing the yellow lines.
Right,
I-
either one,
I don't know.
speed
My
bumps, rumble
definition of speed
strips,
bump
they
is
said
it covers the whole road.
it bothers the people that live
Cattle?
behind those rumble strips.
Oh,
Sorry about
I
that.
don't doubt it.
Well,
And speed
Move,
bumps
like,
don't
if
work
there's
well
any
for
opportunity-
plows.
No, they don't.
That is true.
that's a solid point.
That's why the state won't allow them on their
Right,
roads.
okay.
The actual bumps, like I'm not sure if you're familiar with the town of Jericho.
Mhm.
So they have right in front of the Jericho store,
Mhm.
they have the significant speed bump,
Oh, yeah.
which you slow down for, you
Yeah.
do 25.
Mhm.
But yeah, and they patrol
Yeah.
the area, but if they were to put something like that in town here, you'd have a swath from here to the door that didn't get plowed because the plow would just,
Mhm.
Jump right
Yeah.
over it.
you know, it's.
Yeah. And Dana, did that answer your question about speed bumps?
Yes, it did.
Thank you.
Was
Sorry, she typed it out.
there an incident of road rage in front of your house the other day too?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was right in front of our house. Yeah. Yeah.
Was that the incident you were referring to?
Oh, no. This was another incident, a hit and run incident. That was in the morning, when my husband was going to work. So it sounds like there has been a effort put into this situation, that I'm absolutely not the only one that's dealing with this, that lives right and is, dealing with this dangerous situation and is concerned. But it sounds like it is in a stale spot for becoming remedied. So what can I do to try and push this forward? Because we plan on living here for a very long time. And
Call the state police, call the sheriff's department.
Yeah.
And when they say, well, it's the select board's responsibility,
Mhm.
tell them, excuse me politely, but bullshit.
Mhm.
This is a state highway.
Mhm.
Right.
These are legally posted speed limits, and it is your responsibility to enforce them.
Okay, I will.
Can,
If the town had a constable, it would be questionable whether we could have the constable patrol the state highway.
So with the constable, you said that is an elected position, so it's kind of a little bit backwards because we potentially have to send them to police academy, so but they have to be elected first. So
yeah, and it's a yearly election. It's like,
I
you know,
see.
Yeah.
It's not even like a.
it'd have to be extended to 5-year election or something, because every year you'd be sending someone
Right.
to school for it.
So in my experience, I'm sure in yours as well, a town constable is typically a retired policeman or something. Is there,
If you can get that, yep.
right, is there like any opportunity to
We have a
Test
couple-
the
we have a couple
waters?
within town that are either retired or really close to retirement age
Mhm.
in the police in the state. Yeah, we do. Actually, when the cars go slower by your place, that's because Officer Paquette has parked his cruiser in front of his mother's house here in the middle of town.
Mhm.
And then they go really slow through town.
which house?
It's,
On the court, in the four-way?
So the north end of, well, the north side of the intersection directly
Yeah.
across from.
Yeah, okay. All right,
But. Yeah, the constable. It would be great, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's never been a thing that's held on. I mean, we've had a couple that. Came in, wanted the position, and then weeks later, we find out exactly why they wanted the position.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It wasn't to help the town, it was.
Mm.
to
Yeah.
boost.
okay. Well, I will
And-
contact the state
Booster on
police.
the ego.
Yeah.
Would,
If you get anywhere,
Sure,
don't hesitate to come back.
I will. Yeah, sure.
You know, if they say, we're willing to do whatever,
Mhm.
and they're willing to come and sit here in front of us and tell us why they won't patrol our roads.
Okay.
Come on back and we will happily put the grills. to-
Call our local representative,
Uh-huh,
She-
okay,
James
James
Gregoire
Gregoire, yeah.
at present.
okay.
Call us, anybody in the state.
Anybody?
Anybody that you can think of, give them a call.
Yep, okay. Thank you.
You may already know James, you may just not know it. He's the guy who owns the gas station / small store on 36, right before the stop sign.
Like, stop light.
Oh, sorry, stop light. Yeah, stop light.
Oh, Stones.
No.
See, this is-
Fairfield
this-
Center next.
It's a store in
It's a sign.
Fairfield Center.
Oh, yeah. Okay, okay.
Yeah, he's our state rep for the area.
Oh, I didn't realize he owns that
Yeah.
place. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can
Well,
talk to him and see what he can do for you.
Yeah, I will. Thank you
You
very
don't
much.
get any tread.
Thank you for coming in. Welcome to the town.
Thank you.
Don't forget our senators as well. That little bugger needs some stirring up too.
We should really have a list.
Did the other gentleman have anything? What was his name? Mr. Dormer?
Oh,
Mr. Dome.
He
Mr.
was
Dome?
probably here for the water.
Oh, what was he doing?
I
Mr.
think that's
Dome?
for-
They're out in the outer.
Oh, they got a water meeting right now?
You want to see if Mac wants to come in and give us a rundown?
I didn't know
Hold
Teddy
down.
was a water lord.
I don't know if he is or,
And make sure that is what Tenny was here for.
oh yeah, just double check. Penny. Here we are. Oh. we're having-
Do you sign a
Mr. Dome.
Mr. Dune.
Get that in the books as Mr. Dome.
I was on the school board with him for 25 years. I'll call him.
Can't read my writing.
Yeah, I'm trying to read your, it's a little far away. My new glasses haven't been ordered yet.
It says,
do a
a sign
sign
campaign.
for-
Put some signs up, residents, put signs up saying, drive as if your child lives here.
There are some signs up on Main Street on the, by the library, north of the library.
Yeah, by the store.
That slow down.
I
Drivers that your
truly
kids live
enjoyed
here.
the ones that were across the road from
Yes,
Clem Hawkettes.
yes.
Clement put some, yes.
Those,
If you can read this, that one, that was like sign after sign.
they look terrible, but they got the point of it.
People slowed down to read what it was saying.
Yeah, I think he was required to take them down
Uh,
in the right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it was a neat idea.
the state, I think.
You know what? Because they feel like they,
Well, they don't slow down till about the intersection if they're
Right.
coming north.
Yeah.
yeah, it's
They go
pretty
by
fast.
opposite.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the Monognos are crossing the road all the time. Ms. Santos, you have children?
Two kids.
Oh, boy.
You got a
Oh, boy.
fence in front of your house? I haven't seen, I've known you for almost the year you've been here, but I didn't look. I've known you for almost the whole year. Actually, I knew you before you moved up here because you came to the Cold Hollow meetings. But, I'd never even seen your place. So do you have a fence in front of?
That's, I needed that.
That's the scary thing.
So, not to push this along, but we gotta push this along.
No Mac?
Mac, came in and, he hauled some gravel. Some fill stuff in to hit the spots that were getting, rough over on the East Bakersfield end.
Yeah.
Was that from the pit or did you hold it from
I think he got it,
Leach's?
I think he got it from the pit, but I didn't get clarification.
I know
on
you
that.
did a little bit on our road, on Lawyer
Yeah.
Road, and it was from the pit.
Yeah, I think he tried to use as much from the pit as he could.
Yep.
I don't think he bought any, but he hit some of the spots that were already bad, anticipating that when actual mud season hits, they'll be really bad, but.
Yeah, he said,
Right?
well, he said the roads were too sloppy to grade.
You can't,
He's
Agreed.
had multiple complaints. Why don't you grade the roads? Just pushing mud around isn't gonna do a darn thing.
it'll
Right.
make it slimy.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, his crew is,
I
yeah,
drive a
It's
couple of,
unfortunate, but
I drive a couple of the Enosburg roads on my bus route.
they're a mess.
There are a couple places.
They're a mess.
That, 15 miles an hour is top speed in a bus, because if not, it'll bounce you right out of the chair.
Yeah.
It's bad.
What
And
is
there's nothing that they. Yeah, and there's just nothing they can do about it.
it?
I hate to be the guy that jokes about this, but when it freezes in. And when they come over the top of it with the plow blade will knock off the high spots. It's not me joking around. That's the truth of the matter. And
Yeah, it's a mess.
until then, we just gotta go a little slower on the dirt roads. Give yourself an extra 5 to 10 minutes to get where you need to be. Well, it could be. It's rough out there, no matter what you're in. I mean,
Right.
car, truck.
You're bouncing.
I wouldn't want to be pounding over it in a tandem dump truck. I know that.
Mm-mm.
I think
That-
that's an old bill.
that was
in
from November.
So that would be the old grader, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Under others and visitors, I know I messaged everybody, but Kurt Wescombe was a visitor that I had personally. He wanted to let me know and to let everybody on the board know that when the barn that collapsed comes to be torn down and disposed of, he has an interest in it. Whether that means it goes out to bid, he would just like to be informed, so.
All right.
I think we should put I
Yeah,
think we should put an advertisement in the at least in the Courier and go from there.
Yep, I agree.
This is the Gates barn.
Yes,
So I didn't get a chance to go over there, Josh. Is it the main barn?
it's the one that we were talking about tearing down.
Yeah, the old hay barn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is good, because it didn't hit the power lines, it didn't hit the pole,
No,
it didn't do anything.
it laid down just as flat as can be.
It fell exactly, it didn't
No.
hit base. So
No.
it laid down exactly where we wanted it, and
And the cat even made it out without harm.
Mother Nature is good. Well,
the nice thing about it is it'll be easier to get somebody to come and take it.
Yeah,
yes, because now you can actually, I think the way Kurt was talking is he would like that barn boards and beams for, the
Well,
house
I'm sure
project
there's
he's doing.
many
Yep.
that would like
So-
it. I know somebody, a couple
Yep,
people actually.
without a doubt. What did I have in the roads? There was something else. Word is out that we, like I have to say this, word is out that we have purchased the new grader.
Surprise.
And I have another town that is on me asking what we're doing with the old grader, how much we want for it, how it's being sold, when it's being sold, and so on. So I know that's not a topic that we were gonna jump on right off, but just know that it is.
It's nice to
think
know
as
there's
soon as we-
It
interest.
is nice to know there's interest.
I think as soon as we get the wing on the new one,
That's
the
what,
old one can go up for a bid.
that's what I told the person that asked, is that right now we needed to keep it for the wing.
Yeah.
If we get a dumping of snow that we can push back. So it wouldn't be until probably mid-spring, early summer,
Right.
but I was asked to keep them in the loop and they're very interested.
Good.
Is the new grader 6-wheel drive?
It is not, it is a rear 4-wheel drive. The reason that we determined that was okay for what we needed was because of its significantly heavier and significantly more power.
It also has a mounted front blade, so you don't have to drive through piles like we did with the old one.
The other comment is the front porch forum would be a good place to advertise. Thank you, Linda.
All right,
Front page farm.
you never know.
Yeah.
I didn't know we had one.
Yeah, I know a couple of sugar makers that might actually be looking for a grader. Like,
Wow.
yeah. Budget review.
The big price will have one for them.
There you go. Budget review, I think,
116.
we're gonna save that for next week, correct?
Mhm.
Warrants and reports, warrants are down there, Terry, you've got those, right?
Mhm.
I think you're, and.
I'm
There was no
dissecting.
mail,
Oh,
in the
shit.
mail section, Tammy, did you already have that by any chance?
Dissecting, right.
Yeah, I didn't see anything in there. Okay.
There was a request that I saw come into our shared mailbox from the American Red Cross regarding the budget. Okay,
That would be in this thing, yeah. When we
okay,
go through this is next Monday, as we go through. and
right.
Finalize that, but
It goes
you put it in here, Tammy?
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah,
it.
they asked last year too.
Yeah. Financial policies, we've tabled until after
budget.
budget. Brigham Academy, was that an update or just a pile of crap to look at?
That's just information that's being returned to me. I have a meeting with Kathy Lavoy Wednesday.
Okay.
And another meeting, I think the following week after that.
And I told you that I got some stuff from central office,
Yep.
so I'm kind of curious to see what that is, but I'll bring that into you.
Thank you.
Or
Any-
what?
it's
Central
just-
office from.
It's a package that was, it's a box about this big around and about 3 feet long. I think it may be blueprints for the old Brigham.
He thinks it's the original blueprints.
I think it might be, but it just said, bring to Josh Goff at CHCC. Town of Bakersfield, something like that. So it was easier for them to just bring it to me because they moved.
I wonder if
offices.
it's the one.
Yay, those have
Yeah.
been missing for a long time.
Yeah, they have.
I'm not 100% sure that's what it is. I'm hoping that's what it is. I haven't opened up the box to look yet, but it's definitely older documents. I can tell that just from the look. Any others?
Yes.
Okay, great, John, thanks.
So I was given 4 names to call regarding the town furnaces and the replacement.
Yep.
Rock and Maria's still on. Yes, she is. Rock Allen says he's not interested in doing the work. Brad Sylvester said, not interested, does not do forced hot air heating. Damon Blau or Blue,
Fluent.
Bluen, I've called twice, no return call. Larry Wescombe called twice, no return call.
Larry Wescombe did
Interesting.
leave a verbal message saying He didn't want anything to do with the
Okay.
thing.
So we're waiting for Damien. So we're back to, we've now probably reached
Just-
out to a dozen.
Just document that,
Yep. Now,
and that will allow us to utilize the less than 3 quotes that we have. I mean, we've asked.
Brad Sylvester. Yeah, I think it's like, I think I tried to contact like 12 different, and then you add these, I've reached out to probably like 15 plus,
He's a new,
not interested.
yeah,
So, and Damon,
Richford, right?
yeah.
Maria, Damon, I called on my original calls and I called him twice now. He's never returned my phone call.
You gotta find him on a job,
John.
site and just go in and talk to him.
What about Jake Benoit out of Richford?
I didn't get his name. I may have called him the first time round. I have to look. It's in a spreadsheet.
He's new.
When I didn't hear a name, Fred's,
Who?
Fred's.
Morrisville?
Fred's.
I called Fred's. They said we're out of their service area when I called them the first
Oh,
time.
of course, crap.
Yeah.
They did mom and dad's farm.
All right, I'll reach him back.
What's that one? Robinson? Is it Rob?
I said I called Fred's. Yeah, I called Fred. They said we weren't in their service area, if I remember it. Who was the other name? What was that name, Terry?
Jake Benoit,
How you spell that last one?
Benoit.
Oh, okay. I'll see if I called him already. If he was out on anything in Google reviews or anything, I called him. I called everybody in the Franklin County, Lamoille County area and down to Chittenden. That's right where I got a lot of, we're not in your service areas.
I thought there's a Robinsoner.
Yeah.
It's who they told me that.
Vous parlez vous français?
Oui, parlez-vous français?
All the Canadians then.
Ich spreche Deutsch. Was ist los, mein Freund? My Französisch is nicht sehr gut.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hey, you're the one who asked.
What's that say up there?
That says new grader
Red
paper.
Rock Mechanical?
I don't know if I called Red Rock. I have a spreadsheet of everyone I called. I'll write them in there.
Get it written down.
Red Rock. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
I may have already called them, but if I didn't, I'll call them again.
Persistence is key.
Well, that's why I keep leaving messages.
They're propane, they're on the list for Efficiency Vermont. Are you working
Yeah,
with Efficiency
so
Vermont?
are we willing to change?
Huh?
Are we willing to change over from oil to propane?
Good time to do it.
Oh, what did you say? Oh, he asked if we were willing to switch over to propane.
I
We
think
said no, but we should.
current price for propane was $3.29. I just got a bill today.
I think I paid $3.99 for heating oil from Monday a week ago.
No, but never mind.
So,
All right.
all right.
Any
They were-
others? Town meeting location.
Yes,
Lance says right here.
I know Kathy has put her 2 bits in with me. She'd prefer to have it here.
I would too.
Yeah, I have no problem with it here. We were just, there was the concern of the high number of attendees and lack of space.
Well, we've had a lot of issues over the last few years and we haven't come anywhere near filling the hall up.
We haven't had a meeting in 2 years.
You know what? You got a point there.
Hard to fill the hall when you don't have a meeting.
Well, you know, I've been here,
Got some
I've been on this board for 15 years. I've seen a lot of them, so.
because they can come clean this place out for town meeting day. If you got any that has,
Oh, I-
that need community service.
John was gonna move all these chairs upstairs.
that was with your assistance. If I remember that
Oh, you're not gonna do
conversation.
it by yourself?
We're gonna have to
Now
check.
he's
in-
gonna have
Can't do it. I got one arm.
for the dinner.
Right?
What dinner?
No, that's me.
No, that's over.
Dinner's
That's,
over at the, yeah.
they said that they were done.
You're
That's
supposed to go
us.
with me, so-
It used to be upstairs.
Yeah, thank you, Linda. They're trying to make me clean the second floor now.
It used to be upstairs.
Well, in any case, let's have it upstairs.
It's full of geranium bulbs or whatever.
Radiums, yeah,
Where are the geraniums? Did they make
Upstairs.
it Upstairs?
yeah.
Linda, are you checking on them?
No, that's Lisa
Do they?
Stone checks on those. I've got a bunch in my upstairs that I check on. and they're looking
Oh, nice.
fine.
There you go.
I saw ladies today in Jericho and they were gorgeous.
Hey, I make a motion
Oh, get emotional.
to adjourn the meeting. Yes, here.
Say, do we need an official vote?
I don't think we need a vote. It's always
make
been here.
Make a motion that this year's town meeting be held at the town hall and not at the school gymnasium.
Second.
All those in favor of holding town meeting here at the town hall instead of the gymnasium signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
When is
I make a
that?
motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion has been made. Seconded by Brenda. I see her. Made by John. seconded
That
by
was
Brenda.
me.
Aye.
All right.
Any opposed?
Thank you, everyone.
So.